Creative Talks, the ideas that inspire 11 institutions sharing a common goal for a fully European university. Creative Talks is the voice of Creative EU. It is about sharing knowledge. It is about creating potential from heritage. An alliance for positive transformation. From your university to the world, every story is inspiring. Welcome to your podcast of the moment.
This is the last part of the fourth episode of Creative Talks, Sustainability and Development Creative EU podcast. Welcome to talk about the cultural heritage in the context of comparison of past and present sustainability and development from the Nova University in Slovakia, about being part of this creative alliance. Each of the 11 partners of this new European university has the opportunity to present their motivations and expectations. Let's listen to them all. Welcome to today's episode. Our topic is sustainable development, history, and cultural heritage. At first, these words may seem to belong to different worlds. Sustainability sounds modern, development sounds economic, history sounds old, and cultural heritage may sound like museums, monuments, or old buildings. But maybe these ideas are much more connected than we think. Lucia, let me begin with a simple image. Imagine an old building in the center of a city. Maybe it is a house on a square. Maybe it is an old school, a factory, a bridge, or a small railway station. Some people say it is too old, too expensive, or too difficult to repair. And then someone says, "Let us demolish it and build something new." Is this always the best solution? Or can the most sustainable building sometimes be the one that already exists?
So, this is a very good question because it goes directly to the heart of the problem. When we hear the word sustainable development, we often imagine something new. We think about solar panels, wind energy, electric cars, smart cities, green buildings, recycling, and, and the new technologies. And all of these things are important, but they are not the whole story. Sustainability is not only about inventing the future, it is also about understanding what we already have. It is about knowing what to keep, what to repair, or what to change, or what to pass on. This is where history and cultural heritage become more important. Cultural heritage is not only about monuments. It is not only about museums or about old stones, about the castles, for example, archaeological sites or historical places. Cultural heritage is also about memory. It is about identity. It is about the experience of communities. It is about places that help people understand who they are, where they come from, and how their society has changed. So the main question is this. What is the connection between sustainability and development and also history and cultural heritage? First, these words may seem separate, but in reality they are deeply connected. And how? So society cannot build a good future if it does not understand its past. And a future that destroys its own memory may be modern, but it may not be wise. So the main idea is simple. Sustainable development is not only about the technology, not only about the economy and the future. It's also about memory, continuity, cultural identity or about the ability of society to use wisely what it has inherited from the past.
So, when we speak about cultural heritage, we are not speaking only about beautiful old buildings. We are also speaking about memory and identity. But what does it really mean to protect heritage? And does it mean only to keep old walls standing? Or does it also mean to protect the memory that these walls carry?
Exactly. And this question is very, very important. Monuments and historic places are not only the beautiful objects. They are materials carriers. They carry our human experience. An old house can show how people built the materials they had around them that was available to them. A historic square can show how public life was organized. Place like church, synagogue, cemetery, school, or market hall can show how values or trade and community life change over time. If we reduce heritage only to a tourist attraction, we lose something very important. Heritage is not only something to look at, it is something to think with. It allows society to have a conversation with itself. It helps people ask who we are, what did we build, what did we destroy, what did we forget, what did we choose to remember, and what do we want to give to the next generation. This is why protecting heritage has social value, even when it does not bring quick economic profit. It helps to keep continuity. And continuity is important. Without continuity, development can become only a change of scenery. The buildings may be new, the streets may look modern, the city may be technically efficient, but the place can lose its memory, its character, and also its emotional meaning. Of course, protecting heritage does not mean freezing the world. It does not mean that every old building must stay exactly the same as it is. Heritage is not dead, it's not frozen, it is alive because people interpret it again and again. Each generation asks new questions. Each generation sees the past in a slightly different way, and it is all right. Sometimes we discover stories that were hidden. Sometimes we hear voices that were previously ignored. Sometimes we correct old interpretations. Sometimes we decide what a place is important, not only because it is old, but because it still matters to a community. So heritage protection is not only technical task. It is also a social and ethical task. It asks us to think about value, what is worth keeping, who decides what is valuable, who has the right to tell the story of a place, and who may be excluded when we speak about heritage. These questions, they are not always easy, but they are important for sustainable development because sustainability is not only about the nature and energy. It is also about people, about memory, justice and belonging.
Well, this brings us to buildings and to the question of repair. When people speak about development, they often imagine new construction, a new building, a new road, a new district, or maybe a new project. But you suggest that sustainable thinking often begins differently. It begins with the question, what can we repair? Can you explain why repair and reuse are so important?
Yes. This is one of the most practical connections between cultural heritage and sustainability. When people speak about development, they often imagine new construction, but sustainable thinking often begins with a different question. What can we repair? What can we adapt? What can we use again? Adaptive reuse means giving an old building a new function. It means that the building does not have to die or finish when its original function ends. An old factory can become housing, offices, as we know, studios, or even a cultural center. An old school can become a community place. An old railway building can become a cafe or a library or a small museum. An old warehouse can become a market, exhibition place, or a place for local businesses. In all these cases, we do not start from zero. We work with something that already exists, and this is very, very important. And building is not only walls and windows, it is also material, energy, labor, and the time, layers of time. Stone has to be cut, bricks had to be made, wood had to be prepared, metal had to be produced, and so on. Materials had to be transported, but workers had to build it. And this energy is already inside the building. So when we demolish a building, we do not only lose a physical object, we also lose the energy and material that were already invested in. We create the waste. And then we need new materials, new transport, and new construction. Of course, not every old building can be saved. Some buildings they are too damaged. Some are not safe. Some may not have strong heritage value, and not every reconstruction is automatically ecological. But the basic principle is very important. The most sustainable material is often the material that does not need to be produced again. This is the best way. This is a simple idea, but it changed the way we think about development. Good development for me should not begin with the question, what can we demolish? It should begin with the question, what can we repair? What can we improve? What can we use better? And this is not nostalgia. It is practical sustainability. Repair can be modern, reuse can be creative, very creative, conservation can be innovative. And old building can receive a new life. It can be made safer, it can be made more comfortable, it can be made more accessible, it can adapt for new needs, but if this is done carefully, it can also keep its character, its memory, its place in the life of the city. And in this way, cultural heritage is not any obstacle to modernization. It becomes a correction to modernization. It reminds us that the development should not only be fast, it should be also thoughtful. It should not only be technically functional, it should also be culturally and environmentally responsible.
And that's a very nice idea. So sustainability is not only about building new green buildings. Sometimes it is also about using better what we already have. Let us now more to another topic, traditional knowledge. What can we learn from societies that did not have our modern technologies, but had to understand their environment very carefully?
Yes, this is another very important part of the discussion. Traditional knowledge is not something like romantic decoration. It's not only folklore. It is a long experience of living in a specific place. Before modern heating, before cooling and all the artificial materials, people had to pay close attention to climate, water, wind, soil, all available resources. They had to build in a way that made sense in their environment. Think about thick walls that keep interiors cooler in summer. Think about small windows in hot climates. Think about courtyards that create the shade and air movement. Think for example, about arcades and covered streets. Think about houses that are oriented to protect people from wind or the heat. Let's think about roof designed for rain or snow. We can think about local stone, wood, clay or lime. Think about the old water system, terraces, wells, gardens and ways of the storing food, or how the people did it in the past. These were not random details, they were practical answers. They were answers to climate, answers to resources and answers to very basics of daily life. The goal today is not to copy the past. It would be a mistake to build fake old houses only because they look traditional. This is not sustainability. This is only decoration. The real task is to understand the principles behind the traditional solutions. Why did people use this material? Why was building oriented this way? Why was the street narrow or wide? Why was the courtyard important? How did people create shade? How did they collect water? How did they repair building? How did they use local skills? These questions can help us design better buildings and better places today. Traditional knowledge does not mean rejecting science. It means that science and local experience can work together. Modern research can measure temperature, humidity, you name it, energy use, material performance, and also climate risk. Traditional knowledge can show how people adapted to local conditions over many generations. So the best solution often appears when these two worlds meet. Clay plaster can be both traditional and technically useful. Wood can be both old and modern. Nature shading can be both simple and effective. Green courtyards, water stone and vegetation can help create better microclimates in cities. So heritage is not a box of ready-made answers. It is more an archive of possibilities. It teaches us that sustainability should not be only technical. It should also be local. It should respect place, material, climate. It should respect community. A building can be energy efficient and still feel wrong if it ignores the life around it. A city can be technologically advanced and still be uncomfortable if it does not respect the human scale. Solution can be modern and still fail. It's copied from one place to another without understanding the local context. This is why history matters. Our history, it shows that people have always lived with limits. They have always had to respond to the climate, to resources, to risk or change. Their answers were not perfect, but they can still teach us how to think more carefully.
I have to say this is very interesting because it shows that the past is not just something behind us. It can also help us ask better questions today. Let us move from buildings to cities. If we want to build the cities of the future, should we not first ask why some historic cities were able to work as living communities for centuries?
Yes, and this is very important for urban planning. Many historic cities were compact, people could walk through them, different functions were close to each other. Housing, work, trade, public life, administration, markets were often connected in a small area. This does not mean that these historic cities were perfect. We should not idealize them. Many had poverty, inequality, many had diseases that we know, overcrowding, poor hygiene, this was a very big problem. They were not automatically fair or healthy, but they still contain important lesson. They show the value of the short distances, like nowadays. They show the value of human scale streets. They show the importance of public space. They show how daily life can happen not only inside private buildings, but also in squares, in the open space, in markets, in courtyards, streets, or along the riverbanks. A sustainable city is not only a city with low emissions, it is also a city where people can meet. This is equally important. It is a city where people can feel some responsibility for the place where they live. And it is a city where public space is not only a road between private interiors, but a place for social life. Think about the historic square. It may contain a town hall, church, shops, cafes, market, trees, and of course people walking through. It's not only an empty open space, it is a social stage. It allows people to see each other. It allows events to happen. It connects memory with daily life. Or we can think about a small street with shops on the ground floor or housing above. This kind of street can be more than a transport corridor. It can be a place of contact, movement, and local identity. Modern planning is now returning to many of those ideas. Walkability, mixed use, density, public space, and local services, and all neighborhood life. But the historic cities can also teach us something more subtle. They teach us that city is not only infrastructure, it is a layered place. It includes buildings, it includes streets, nature, water, memory, habits, rituals, all our relationships. City is not sustainable only because it has efficient transport or green technology. It becomes sustainable when it supports a meaningful life. This is why the protection of historic urban areas is not only about the facades. It is not only about keeping old buildings pretty. It is more about understanding the whole urban landscape. The shape of the streets matters. The public space matters. The view matters. The memory of old routes matters. Also the local shops, the people who still live there. If we protect only the appearance of historic city, but removed its living community, we create a stage set. It may be beautiful, look beautiful, but it becomes empty. So, and this is a serious risk in many historic places today. They become staged. When a heritage becomes only a product, when the city centers become only the places for visitors, when local people can no longer afford to live there, then heritage loses its living meaning. A sustainable historic city must remain a place for life, not only a place for photographs.
I can see that this is a very strong point. A historic city should not become only a stage for visitors. It should remain a living place. Now let us speak about digital technologies. Today we hear a lot about 3D scanning, digital archives, virtual reality, digital models, and digital twins. Can a digital copy save cultural heritage, or does it only help us take better care of it?
Digital technologies bring many possibilities. They can be extremely useful. 3D scanning can record the shape of a monument in a very great detail. Also, photogrammetry can create 3D models from photographs. Digital maps can connect heritage with landscape and environmental risk. And the digital archives can make documents, images, and research available to more and more people. Also, we hear about virtual reality. It can help visitors imagine lost buildings or already destroyed places or earlier historical phases. So these tools are very useful. They can help experts document the current condition of the monument. They can help compare the changes over time. They can support the restoration planning. They can help after disasters when the building has been damaged by fire, by flood, by earthquake, war or neglect. They can help students and the public understand heritage in a more visual way. They can also make heritage more accessible to people who cannot travel. This is also important, who have disabilities or who live far away. So digital technology opens the door, but on the other hand, we must be careful. The digital model is not the same as the original. Scan can record the shape, but it cannot fully record the atmosphere. Virtual model can show a building, but it cannot fully replace the experience of standing inside. It cannot give you the same feeling of material, the scale, temperature, sound, age and presence so far. Digital copy cannot fully replace the patina, the weight of wood, the marks of use or the social meanings of the place. So this is why the technology should support care, not replace care. So it would be dangerous to think we have scanned it, so now it doesn't matter if the original disappears. That would be a misunderstanding. Digital tools are powerful, but they do not remove our responsibility. They can help us protect, understand and share heritage. But they cannot carry the whole meaning of heritage by themselves. This is also another problem. Digital heritage is fragile in its own way. Files can be lost. Formats can become old. Software can disappear. Hardware can stop working. Databases can be forgotten. Digital archives need care, planning. They need money and long-term responsibility. So even digital heritage needs sustainability. We need to ask who will keep the data, who will update it, who can access it, who will own it, what should be public and what should be protected. What will happen, what happens in 10, 20 or even 50 years. These are not only technical questions, they are ethical and cultural questions. Technology gives us tools, but tools do not make decisions for us. We still need values, we still need judgment, we still need care.
So you say that digital technology can help us document, explain and protect heritage, but it cannot replace the original place, the material, the atmosphere or the memory. Let us now move to the past in another way. Many people are interested in the collapse of past civilizations, but these stories are often simplified. We hear that a society collapsed because of drought, war, bad rulers, or environmental damage. Is it really that simple?
Well, it is usually not that simple. Stories about collapse of old civilizations are often told in a very dramatic way. We hear that the society collapsed because of drought, or because of war, or because of bad government, or because of destruction of the environment, or invasion, or famine. These explanations may be partly true, but they are often too simple. Large societies usually do not collapse because of one single cause. They become fragile when several pressures meet at the same time. Environmental stress can make food production more difficult. Food problems can increase social tension, and social inequality can reduce the trust. Weak trust can make institutions less effective, and political conflicts can make cooperation harder. War can damage trade and infrastructure, absolutely damage life. Economic dependence on one resource can make a society vulnerable, and if leaders do not respond well, then the crisis can become deeper. So the lesson from history is not that this happens once, so the same thing will happen again. History is not a machine that repeats itself exactly. The lesson is more serious and more useful. Complex societies can be strong and fragile at the same time. They can build impressive monuments, they can organize trade, they can control large territories, they can develop advanced technologies, but they can still become vulnerable if they ignore limits, if they deepen inequality, and if they lose trust or fail to adapt. This is a very important lesson for sustainable development today. Our modern world is also complex. It depends on energy systems, transport networks, global trade, you name it, food chains, water systems, of course, and political cooperation. This complexity gives us power but also creates a risk. When one part fails, other part can be affected. This does not mean that we should be afraid of the future, but it does mean that we should be humble. The past teaches us that resilience matters. Resilience means the ability to absorb the shock, to adapt and to recover and to continue. A resilient society is not a society without problems. It is a society that can learn, repair and cooperate and change also before crises become collapse. Cultural heritage can help with resilience because it keeps memory alive. It reminds communities of previous disasters, previous adaptations, previous all mistakes, and also the previous forms of cooperation, the good things. A place may remember an old flood. A landscape may show how people once managed water. A traditional building may show how people lived with heat or cold. An old road may show how people moved through difficult terrain. A community ritual may show how people created solidarity in hard times. Again, the past does not give us the perfect answers, but it gives us experience, and experience is valuable.
This leads us directly to climate change. We often speak about the climate change as an environmental issue, but you suggest that it is also a cultural issue. How does climate change threaten cultural heritage?
Climate change is not only an environmental problem, it is also a cultural problem. Cultural heritage today is not only threatened by normal decay, by the time or lack of maintenance, it's also threatened by new and stronger environmental risk. Extreme weather can damage buildings, floods can destroy historic centers and archaeological layers. Droughts can affect the wooden structures, gardens and landscapes. Fire can destroy monuments and historic towns. We know that rising sea levels threaten coastal heritage. Erosion can damage archaeological sites. Heat can make old urban areas harder to live in. Humidity can damage material, paintings, archives or interiors. So climate change threatens not only the nature but also places where societies remember themselves. And if a community loses its important places, it can also lose part of its identity, part of its confidence and continuity. Heritage protection cannot be treated as luxury. It is not something we do only after all more important problems are solved. Heritage is part of how communities understand themselves. If we lose it, we lose more than objects. We lose the reference point. So adaptation must therefore include the heritage. This means the mapping risk, it means the regular maintenance, it means emergency plans, it means training people, it means keeping craft skills alive. It means knowing which material need which kind of care. It means involving local communities, and it means planning before disaster happens, not only reacting afterwards. But heritage is not only a victim of climate change, it can be also the part of solution. Historic water systems can teach us about the storage, distribution, adaptation, and this is important. The traditional landscape can show how people worked with place, with terraces, forest and water. Old urban forms can show how shade and narrow streets with the courtyards and vegetation helped create better microclimates. And local building methods can show how to use materials with lower environmental impact. This does not mean that old solutions are enough for today. The climate risk is new in scale and speed. It is unprecedented threat. We need science, technology. We need policy, we need international cooperation. But this does not mean we should not throw all the knowledge stored in heritage. A society that does not remember how people adapted in the past becomes poorer in its imagination. And imagination is important for sustainability. We need to imagine different things, different way of living, buildings, different way of traveling, producing, and also caring for places.
Yes, that is a very important point. Heritage is not only threatened by climate change, but it can also help us think about adaptation. Now let us speak about tourism. Cultural heritage often attracts a lot of visitors. Tourism can bring money, jobs and attention, but it can also damage the very places people come to see. How can tourism support heritage without destroying it?
Heritage and tourism are closely connected. Many people travel because they want to see historic cities, they want to see archaeological sites, they want to see museums, landscapes, monuments. This can bring many benefits. Tourism can create job, it creates job. It brings income, it can support local business, it can help finance restoration, it can make people proud of their place. It can support education and cultural exchange, but tourism also damaged heritage. If too many visitors came to the same place at the same time, the place can suffer. Streets become overcrowded, housing become more expensive, local shops disappear and are replaced by souvenir shops. Residents may leave, the historic center may become a place for visitors, but not for everyday life. Then heritage becomes a product. And when heritage becomes only a product, it starts to lose its meaning. This is why sustainable tourism does not mean bringing us as many people as possible. It means asking better questions. How many visitors can the place really support? Where does the money go? Do local people benefit? Are residents respected? Is the site protected? Is the story of the place explained well? Are the visitors encouraged to understand, not only to consume? Is tourism spread through the year, or it is concentrated in one short season? These questions matter because heritage is not only a background for photographs. It is a part of living places and living communities. City that lives only for tourism can become economically dependent and socially weak. A village that becomes only a tourist image can lose the ordinary life that make it meaningful. And a monument that receives too many visitors without care can be physically damaged. Responsible tourism should support the place, not consume it. It should help local communities, not push them out. It should respect the meaning of the place, not turn it into a simple product. It should help visitors understand that heritage is not dead. It's connected to people, to us, to memory, to work, nature, and everyday life.
So again, the main idea is the balance. Heritage can support development, but not only if development respects the place and the people who live there. Let us now slowly return to the central question of the whole discussion. What does all this change in our understanding of development?
The connection between sustainability and cultural heritage changes how we understand development itself. Development does not have to mean erasing the old. Modernization does not have to mean starting from zero. Progress not have to mean demolition. A truly developed society is not that one that can always build something new. A truly developed society is the one that can make careful choices. It can ask what should be changed, what should be repaired, what should be kept, what can be used again, what should be remembered, what should never be repeated. These questions are not easy, but they are necessary. Cultural heritage teaches us that the future never begins from an empty space. The future begins from layers, from materials, from stories, from mistakes, from knowledge, from wounds, from skills, also from conflicts. It comes from memories, from the places that can still speak if you learn how to listen. Development that ignores these layers may be fast, but it loses direction. It may produce new building, new road, and new systems. It may also create places without memory and communities without roots. Development that can read these layers become deeper. It becomes more careful. It becomes more human. This is why history is not the opposite of the development. History is development's memory, and cultural heritage is one of the ways this memory becomes visible. Without history, sustainability can become technically correct but culturally blind. And development without cultural memory can be fast but shallow. So if the future is to be truly sustainable, it's not enough to invent it. We also have to repair it. We have to inherit it. We have to understand it. We have to care for it. And we have to pass it on.
That is a very strong conclusion. Maybe the real question is not whether old buildings or old cities and old stories still matter. Maybe the real question is this: what happens to a society when it no longer remembers how it came here?
Yes, sustainable future cannot be built only with new machines and new plans. It also needs memory. It needs care. It needs the courage to say that not everything old is useful and not everything new is progress. So the final question is not can we afford to protect heritage? The final question is the opposite. what kind of future will we create if we stop caring for the places that taught us who we are, how we lived, or how we survived?
Thank you very much, Lucia. This is a good place to end today's episode. Sustainable development is not only about the future, it is also about memory. It is about care, it is about repair, and it is about the responsibility to pass something meaningful on the next generation. Thank you again for listening.
This was a nice part of the fourth episode of Creative Talks, the Creative You podcast on sustainability and development. I talk about the cultural heritage in the context of comparison of past and present sustainability and development from Trnava University in Slovakia, which is a part of this Creative Alliance. The next interview will be with Södertörn University in Sweden. We hope you enjoy listening.